So I was almost asking Trude to send some money to human fertility database. She's not so rich as I thought.
From the 10 million that I
Yes.
got in.
But two short reflections. I think one additional answer about the 1990s could be different starting points. Because Sweden in 1990 had supercharged fertility rate with total fertility rate above 2.1. Probably tempo effect, partly detail of the speed premium increase in the 1990s. Denmark started with 1.60 something TFR. So that could explain part of the differential speed of decline in the 1990s. Going back to 2010s, the biggest puzzle is why fertility continues declining into 16 to 17. That's something where you will be slowly getting to when the new data are sipping in. Still, in your graph, many countries are going until to 14 to 15. And I don't know whether you have ideas and reflections on that, but it could be something interesting to look at.
Yeah. Okay, 16 and 17 will be 10 million. What will happen? You're right with the 1990s, different starting points, but also different experiences with crisis. For example, Denmark had already a crisis in the 1980s, and the fertility was really very low. They reacted with some social policies and then had a stronger, completely restructuring of the welfare state with the 1990 crisis. So they could really do a completely different reaction at the time, while Sweden was paralyzed essentially by the sudden increase in the unemployment rate at the time. So there are such things, but there is also some much soft things going on where it's very difficult to say that was why the reaction was like this or not like this. So but you're right on the 1990s, that there were different conditions, different onsets, different experiences on the earlier ones, and when was the experience?
I just would like to appeal to canonical estimation of some shock, whether it had an effect or not, that one should provide a control group countries that didn't experience Great Recession, and whether they have the same dynamics or not. And yes, maybe that would help. As well as including observable heterogeneity like unemployment rate and something like
that. Yes, of course, we don't know why we have the effect or why we have a fertility effect in countries that didn't experience a crisis, or the crisis was only 1 year. Or why in Iceland the crisis was so severe, but after 1 year there was no more effect. So it's very difficult to say what was it, what did actually happen, and the macroeconomic indicators are very difficult in that they seem to be not capturing everything that should be there. And I mean, other studies show that too, you write the same thing.
I mean, we actually do not find the effects of the economic indicators on fertility in developing countries. But maybe as you say, it's something else. While looking at the results, I had the impression that the things started to happen a little bit by the end of the recession and after the 2013, at least here in Nordic countries. So I wonder whether it's still something economic or it's something else.
Yeah.
But I guess that will be explored still, and it's Bernhard, you wanted.
I think to better understand the role of economics for fertility, it's worth to look at indicators which better capture the economic situation of the young generation. Because the development of income is sometimes very difficult for the older population or for the young population. And in the last year, especially the huge increase in housing prices resulted in a considerable loss of real income. Unfortunately, we don't have measures which capture this appropriately, but we are currently working on it, on some of these indicators, but I think it's really worth to use, for example, income of the young population from EU-SIPC or something to better capture the effect of the economic crisis or economic changes for the young population.
Yeah, we completely agree. That's why we also were looking at how do the younger ones react to the crisis, how do the older ones react to the crisis. So that gives an indication that there is something going on, very different between the two groups, even if one could say if you are 38, you cannot wait until the crisis is over and you don't know how long the crisis goes. There are such things, we discussed it just before, that housing prices or housing situations, that the prolongation of unemployment, maybe, the unemployment indicator that we have only captures one aspect, and that is the normal unemployment rate, but it doesn't capture the duration of the unemployment. So you can have low unemployment, but an extension, you can have more difficulties getting into the labor market. I mean, I mentioned the EU, the liberalization of the labor market and the cut down on certain kind of protections via the EU regulations could have an effect we don't know yet. So that has to be really looked at in detail for the different countries, maybe with regional perspectives or others. It's not so easy. And Gunnar showed the education ones and childlessness yesterday, where you could see that by educational groups there is a similar development over cohorts in the Nordic countries, but you see that there is a gender convergence, but an increase in social inequality, that the low educated are more and more left behind. So there seems to be also internally a growing inequality for certain groups and for others. So that disparity is also something that we don't know whether that actually works in that direction. No idea.
Yeah, I also think that looking at the education disparities here, I don't know, you said it right, could be perhaps.
Yes,
yeah.
We looked at the educational disparities here, and you do see that the lower educated are a little bit left behind. Exactly, but otherwise, this convergence over the different educational groups, so all the tertiary behave similar, or the middle, secondary, and so are the same, and also then by a different group. So there is some kind of social inequality growing, but otherwise we have also quite interesting convergence in the Nordic countries.
Thank you, Gunnar. Very interesting. I think we will spend now the next years thinking about this decline in Nordic countries, but also, as Thomas showed yesterday, in other Western European countries, what's happening, why.